something that you regret doing or not doing. Maybe it's not investing in a certain stock or not going in for that kiss with your crush. Why do I ask? Well, in today's video, we will be looking at some of the dumbest, worst, and regret-filled decisions in history. Speaking of regrets, you are totally going to regret not checking out G2A.com. G2A.com is an online marketplace where you can get video games, gaming consoles, tabletop games, gaming accessories, collectibles, and more for unbeatable prices. They literally have big sales all year round, so you are getting these items for unbelievable prices. Right now, they're having huge winter sales, and they always have weekly sales. So you definitely need to go and check out their site. When I say they have everything, they have everything. So make sure to check out the link in the description to unlock a site full of amazing products for unbelievable prices. Starting off this countdown, we have the elephants. Alan Savory is an ecologist and livestock farmer who is responsible for the death of 40,000 elephants. Up until 1969, Alan actually thought that herds of elephants were destroying the African grasslands. So he had 40,000 elephants shot and killed to try and protect the grasslands. Then he found out that the elephants were actually essential to prevent desertification, and he realized his terrible, terrible mistake. Imagine how guilty he felt after killing all those innocent animals, and then finding out you really didn't need to do that in the first place and actually needed the elephants. In our ninth spot today, we have the hydrogen blimps. Not only does this gain the title for being one of the worst decisions in history, it also has been labeled as one of the worst inventions of all time. So you all know what a blimp is, right? It's like a big balloon with propellers that can hold people on the inside as it flies through the sky. Well, back in the day, they decided to use hydrogen to make the blimp float. There's just one problem with that. Hydrogen is highly flammable. In 1937, the Hindenburg, a German airship, caught fire and crashed in 36 seconds. This was due to a spark that ignited the hydrogen. 36 people unfortunately lost their lives as a result. But this wasn't even the first time that a hydrogen blimp exploded. A number of other blimps caught fire during flight before this one. But it wasn't until the Hindenburg that people realized how dangerous using hydrogen really was. In our eighth spot, we have the Titanic. A number of errors and bad judgment calls contributed to the downfall of the Titanic. First off, there was no safety regulations in place for a ship as large as the Titanic. First off, it did not carry enough safety equipment. The lifeboats are an example. There were only 16 lifeboats, but there were thousands of passengers on board the ship. Also, the crew members didn't have proper equipment for themselves like binoculars, and they were not up to date with emergency protocols for the ship. Lastly, in 2010, it was revealed that the helmsman might have actually made a steering error when steering the ship, and that resulted into it crashing into the iceberg. As a result of the error, around 1,500 people lost their lives. In our seventh spot, we have the $1 million lottery ticket. Back in 2010, a woman in England would play the lottery every week. Every week, she would also write down the numbers that she chose in case she did win. One week, the jackpot was the biggest amount in the contest's history, $181 million. Turns out that this woman did win, but her husband threw away her ticket, so neither of them won the jackpot prize. Honestly, that sounds like grounds for divorce to me. They literally could have been millionaires. Coming in at number 6, we have passing on Netflix. Right now, Netflix is probably the biggest streaming service out there. Well, back in the day, Blockbuster could have owned Netflix, but instead they decided not to buy it. Well, this eventually led to Blockbuster's downfall. Netflix became huge and Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy in 2010. Netflix makes billions of dollars a year, whereas Blockbuster is out of the picture. In 2020 alone, it made $25 billion. So I bet workers at Blockbuster are constantly kicking themselves about this one. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with accepting the Trojan horse. Now, before you all come at me, yes, I acknowledge that the Trojan horse story might just be a legend. There's this huge debate on whether it actually happened or if it's just a fable. In the sake of today's video, let's say that it actually did happen. And if it didn't, well, it's a learning experience. So if this is the case, then it was a very, very bad decision. So legend goes that during the Trojan War, the Greeks were unable to penetrate the walls of Troy. So they decided to sneak their way in. How? By leaving a gift for the Trojans. So they constructed a massive horse that could fit a few dozen soldiers inside. They then wheeled the horse to the city's gates and were like, here you go, you win, here's your your gift. The Trojans were like, yay, we won, and they wheeled the gift inside of their city wall. At night, the hidden soldiers left the horse and opened the gates for more troops to come inside, and they attacked the Trojans, winning the Trojan War once and for all. In our fourth spot, we have the K-Cup. According to the creator of the K-Cup, John Sylvan, he actually terribly regrets inventing the Keurig coffee pod system. First off, it didn't even make him rich. In 1997, he sold his part in the company for only $50,000. After he left the company, the Keurig machine blew up, making billions of dollars. But that's not what he regrets about it. He actually regrets inventing this because of how wasteful it is. It promotes single-use plastics. You put your plastic pot in, make your coffee, and then you toss the pot away. He says it added to the environmental catastrophe, and he would take it all back if he could. Moving on, at number 3, we have the shortcut. In April of 1845, 90 American pioneers under the name of the Donner Party went from the Midwest to California in 20 wagon trains. While on their journey, they decided to take a shortcut. Little did they know how bad this was actually going to be for them. Taking the shortcut actually resulted in them becoming terribly lost during the harsh winter. It ended up taking them between 3 to 7 months to reach their final destination. So the shortcut actually turned into the longest journey of their lives. But it gets worse. Along the way, they got trapped by heavy snowfall and they lost their food supply. As a result, they had to eat their fellow travelers in order to survive. By the time someone came to the rescue, only 48 out of 90 men were alive. In our second spot, we have the Immortality Emperor. China's Emperor Qin Shi Huang had the desire to live forever. So he set out to find a life elixir that would give him immortality. In the end, he was given mercury pills. They were said to be life prolonging, and he was instructed to take one every day. But doing so gave him a nasty case of mercury poisoning and actually drove him insane. In the end, instead of prolonging his life, it cut it short and he died at 49. So it did the exact opposite of what he wanted it to do. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the wine or painting. Back in the day, a carpenter was doing some work for a poor painter in his neighborhood. After the job was complete, since the painter didn't have any money, he offered the carpenter either a bottle of wine or a painting. The man chose the wine, which was a huge mistake. Turns out that the painter was Edvard Munch, the guy you know that painted the famous painting Scream, among other things. Had he chosen the painting, it would have been worth millions today. The guy could have been rich and made his family quite wealthy as well. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments below, like I said, something that you regret. And now, speaking of comments, let's move on to our comment shout out portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video, top 10 diseases in outer space that are horrifying. Robbie Allen commented, what happens if you fart in a spacesuit? Because it's methane, which isn't good if you breathe it in. I like your t-shirt. Nice. Okay. 2 different comments there. It's like, what if you fart and die? Also, I like your t-shirt. Honestly, you have to breathe in a crap ton, pun intended, crap ton of methane gas for you to get sick. Okay, sad bitch commented, POV, you're watching this while being sick. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better. Sending you love and good health. And Barb Ross commented, instead of Bob Ross, Barb Ross, love it. Great video, but where do you get that shirt? It looks amazing on you. I got it from a store called Garage. Not sponsored, but if they want to sponsor me, just let me know. All right, guys, that's all the comments I'm showing out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya. Bye.